Welcome to another episode of Sports and Discourse with your host, Derek Stevenson. And today, I got a real special guest for y'all, my guy, Big Brew. And let me tell y'all, I didn't even want to do this, man, because he know I don't really rock with the Duke guys, but I had to be fair, right? So I had North Carolina guys on my show. I ain't never had a Duke guy on my show, so to be as unbiased as I can, I had to invite my guy, Big Brew, on the show. What's good, fam?
Good with y'all, man. Here to talk my shit a little bit.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. And look, the other day I was rocking the North Carolina jersey, right? And you wasn't feeling that, was you?
You
I
can't be a you rock that, man.
I understand. So let me give you the story, man. So, pretty much everybody knows, man, I'm a Michael Jordan guy, man. That's my childhood hero. I'm always gonna call him the GOAT. I don't care what LeBron does. I'm always gonna say Michael Jordan's better, right? So one of my best friends, he was in the military, and he just happened to hit me, and he was probably like in Taiwan or China or somewhere where they be having all the manufacturing factories or whatever. So he was like, "Man, I'm sending you a gift back." And this is like my best friend. Like he was my best man in my wedding. So he sent it to me. I was hyped, man. I couldn't throw it away, man. And he's a UK fan too, but he did it for me just because it was Jordan. So I tried to wear it to jinx the Tar Heels, but it didn't work. They actually stomped St. Peter's. So what I'm gonna do for you is, just to be fair, if y'all beat North Carolina, I'm gonna do one show in some Duke gear.
I
Is that
bet.
fair?
Yeah, man.
All right, bet. And I was trying to actually find somebody that, a Jayhawk fan and the other Wildcat fan, but I couldn't find nobody, man. Where they at? You know anybody?
Oh, one Kansas fan, my boy Terry. Other than that, I don't know no Kansas fans, and I definitely don't know no Villanova fans.
Yeah, man, they kind of scarce around our way, man. But oh well, guess it just wasn't meant to be. But the game that everybody wants to see, anyways, is North Carolina and Duke, man. So let me just start it off, man. So what's going to happen in this game?
Man, you already know they beat us. Coach K's last home game, so we got a vengeance. I think Coach K. I've been following the lead and the stories all week. I think he doesn't want them to go into this game just vengeance because you're gonna need more than that to get it done. Everybody's playing at a high level. North Carolina's won 15 out of their last 18 games. So what I think they're gonna do, what I've seen as far as adjustments of why Duke's playing better now, they're not settling for jump shots as much. They're getting better shots and they're kind of forcing their way into the paint, initiating contact. Versus the last time we played, Paolo did kill, but it was more just giving the ball to him and letting him ISO. That's why he shot about 22 shots in a college game. I don't expect them to do that. They've been playing more team ball in the NCAA tournament. It might be Roach. The last 4 minutes, it could be Keels. Of course, Paolo's going to get his 16 to 20. That's what I expect. I expect it to be close, but I think Duke can win by about 7.
That's what's up, man. And the way I seen it is, I would say North Carolina is one of the hottest teams going into the tournament that I've seen in a minute. But overall this year, I feel like Duke's probably been the most consistent team all season, as much as I hate to admit that, man. And I guess I would say, did you expect that coming into the season? Like, what was your expectations at the beginning of the year for this squad?
Well, first things first, I like to shout out Jeremy Roach because I hated his game last year. He kind of reminded me of, for lack of better terms, Russell Westbrook. Not
Mm,
his old, just the way he played. He was out of control. He would dribble too far under the rim. But this year, he's finally got some confidence and he understands how to switch gears. He always could shoot a little bit, so he's shooting better. But I did kind of expect it because Mark Williams was tough. He's very athletic for a big. Usually we get traditional back to the basket bigs that might have a mid range, but we finally got a guy that's kind of like a freak. Ayala, I always said if Zion was really like 6'9", 6'10", we would have won the championship. But he's just so undersized, even though he was that athletic. With our big guy being that versatile, and they're agile, but he's 6'10", 250, so you really can't even put a body on him. I expected to win a lot of games because you don't have anybody to guard that. You know what I mean? Centers are too slow, power forwards are too slow, guards are too small. So I did expect it with the class that we have coming in. I expect something similar. Not a Final Four because it's Shire's first year, but I expect the same thing next year with the class that we have coming in.
So since you brought him up, man, let me ask you: was that the guy that you like when you heard that Coach K was done? What did you think Shire was the right guy for the job?
I knew he was eventually going to get the job, but I didn't know he was going to get it that quick, even though he's been on the staff for years now. I know Greg Polish some years back was on the staff for years too, and he ended up going elsewhere. I think he went to Ohio State. But I honestly see what we're doing, and I think that's what Cal's going to try to do from what I've been hearing. Once he takes that job up in team administration, that's what he's going to try to do, handpick the next coach. But yeah, I think Shire is a good fit. He's always sharp. He was never the most athletic player, but yet you look in the tournament, he's scoring 16 to 22 points. So I think he's the guy. He knows where to be, where the spots where to be. Knows how to run the offense. Knows how to break down film. Not only can he coach, now he's helped coach a team to the Final Four, but he won a championship. So that's a good recruiting tool. Plus, he's been recruiting for Duke for the last couple of years, ever since Capel left. So
I got
I
you.
I mean, he did the recruiting this year. We got the number 1, 2, and 3 players. We got the number 22 player and the number 51 player. So as long as he can get the X's and O's down, I can't see much of a drop off.
So that actually leads me into another question that I was going to ask you, because I wasn't actually aware that he had already started doing, majority of the recruiting and things like that. So what I was going to ask you is, do you think that Duke Nation will survive after Coach K? And the reason why I was going to ask you that is because you can think of several like dominant programs that just fell off. Like I'll say Indiana fell off when Bob Knight. I'll say Nebraska football fell off after Tom Osborne, and Georgetown definitely fell off after John Thompson, and I'll say Florida fell off a little bit after Billy Donovan. And so that's why I was wanting to know if you think that he's going to be able to keep them at that elite level that they are now.
The reason why I think it's a difference, and I get it, Georgetown tried to go the route with Patrick Ewing because he played there. I think Shire, playing 3-4 years at Duke, understands the culture of Duke basketball. Not to mention, Coach K he's doing coaching, but he's still overseeing the program. So he still has calls on what goes on, as far as the team. So I think it'll live on. Plus, I really remember, like, the Cameron Crazies, I really remember them. That's the thing that started in the 90s. I don't think before, like when Coach K first got there, that wasn't a thing. But at this point, that's 25, 30 years straight of the atmosphere. So I think that always lives on. Like I said, Shire grew up in the culture, so he's going to help continue it. He knows, even though Coach K is gone, I think Coach K was getting a little old. So the stuff he was doing in the early 2000s with the players, I don't even think he was doing it anymore. But Shire is there to help push that on the players. So I think they'll be fine. I could be wishful thinking, but when you look at every aspect of John Shire, it just matches for him to coach Duke.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because, like, I don't want to bring race into this, right? But I would say Duke is probably the only college team out there that probably could assemble a all-white team, an all-time white team that could make the Final Four, man. Because y'all done has probably the best group of, like, white hoopers that came through college, man. But what I want to ask you is, since we're talking about players, is when it comes to, like, okay, I'll give you an example, right? When they talk about my coach, Coach Cal, right? How much percentage do you think they give credit to him being the coach versus the players? I would say they probably giving Cal 20, 30%, and they give him majority of his success to the ability of the players. So what I would ask you is, what would you do in that sense with Coach K?
I mean, the players always will get a decent percentage because without the players, they can't execute your game plan. But I would say Coach K is at least responsible for about 60%. 60, depending on the team, because I've seen him coach teams that I thought were weak, and we get a 2 seed in the tournament. I knew we weren't going to win the championship, but just for you to win 27, 28 games with a team that have guys that either don't make the league or are career reserves in the NBA, that's good coaching. If Cal had that team, y'all probably going to the NIT. You know what I mean? So I'm giving him about 60 to 70%, but at the end of the day, you got to at least give your players about 35% because if they can't execute, it don't matter how good your play's drawn up.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I want to ask you first. I want to ask you like, what was probably your favorite Duke team that you watched, and then after you answer that, tell me what's your most disappointing Duke team that you watched.
Okay. My favorite Duke team, that's tough. I got a lot of favorite teams. I would probably have to go with Jason Williams, Shane Battier, Carlos Boozer, Chris Duhon, Mike Dunleavy. That team. I probably would have to go with that team being my favorite team.
Do you think that's the best team that Duke's ever had?
The 2010 team was tough. I'll probably say yes because of their NBA success in comparison to the NBA success of the 2010 team. Even though, for instance, I went to the Final Four championship in 2010. The team that beat UK in the Elite Eight when they had DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall was West Virginia, as you know. John Shire, Kyle Singler, and Nolan Smith outscored West Virginia by themselves. So that's a tough team. Then, so I like that team as well. As far as favorite players, of course I like JJ Redick. I just didn't the teams that we had with him, they just weren't it was like him and then Sheldon Williams, and then it was just you never know what you're gonna get from anybody else.
Yeah, man. And Sheldon Williams was good on the collegiate level, but you could tell once he got to the league, he really didn't have the juice like that.
He wasn't that athletic, and he was an old man type of post player.
Yeah.
Disappointing though. I guess for me to pick my most disappointing team, I had to have a team that had a lot of hype coming into the season and wasn't that good. Because I got some disappointing teams, but to me that team wasn't that good either. Like the Greg Polish, Josh McRoberts team. Roberts was good for a white boy.
Yeah, he was.
Ain't nothing to go to the championship with. But a team that I thought would be really dope or probably win a ring. I mean, of course, everybody would probably say the Zion Williamson team. I thought they could win a championship by winning team. That team played 3 times. But they couldn't shoot. The best shooter was a streaky shooter, Cam Reddish.
Yeah.
He was only 30-something percent. I mean, I did see a great performance when they were down by 20 to 12 and came back. But you can't expect the guy to always bail you out when he's a 34% three-point shooter. So that team could be a big disappointment, but I would probably go with, if I had to pick, based on how dope that team was, I probably would go that 2002 Duke team because they just won a championship and they brought everybody back. And they should have won. I went there. I went to that game. So they lost to Indiana by 1 point. They were actually down 3. Jay Williams got fouled. No, my bad. They were down 4. Jay Williams got fouled on the 3. He hit the 3. And then he went to the free throw line and tricked the free throw. That team would have went back to back. If they win that game, they would have went back to back. Another team that disappointed me was, and you can't help injury, 2011. I wanted Duke to just go back to back again at one point. They should have did it in 2002. They could have done it in 2011 after winning in 2010, the year they had Kyrie Irving. Of course, he injury prone in the league, was injury prone then, but when he got hurt, Duke was 12 or 13 and 0. And then he just missed the rest of the season. He came back in the NCAA tournament. He ruined the chemistry because they went more of a spread 4-out type of offense with him because he can isolate and break his man down. Then Nolan Smith had to play point, so they went to a more pick and roll style offense. So When Kyrie came back, he's doing all the isolation dribbling, and people are just standing there watching because the chemistry was out.
Yeah,
That team, if they don't get hurt, I truly would have bet whatever they would have won the championship.
yeah. And one thing that you mentioned when you was speaking about your squads was you said that there was several times where you felt like y'all could have went back to back because y'all got everybody to return. And I feel like Coach K, up until recently, was probably the best I ever seen at retaining his players, man, because he got the same type of talent as everybody else got. He loaded up his roster with all Americans, but he kept a whole lot of those guys like junior and seniors, man. And like, how do you think he was able to, keep those kids in college?
Well, you didn't really start losing those kids to the one and done rule until 2004, really. So, because I remember we had like 5 top 10 guys and only ended up with we got DeMarcus Nelson. We might have got one of our other 5 recruits. All the rest of them went to the league because that was like the second to last year that you could go to the league straight out of high school. So after that, they did the one and done, and then of course, when you go to the college level, if you're struggling in college, you need to come back another year. So I think he's honest with his players. He actually might not always have stars in the league, but his guys usually last in the league for years.
Yeah,
So he's able to communicate that to them like you're not ready, so you can at least get players for 2 years. I mean, guys have really high potential and average 15 to 20 points. They got to go. You know what I mean? But before 2005, really, I say that was just the college way. Nobody really went to school for 1 year and just went to the NBA because everybody was playing at least 3 years. So I don't think you really had trouble. Then you're playing at Duke. When you play at Duke, UK, Kansas, North Carolina, it's like the pinnacle of college. So you got it made. We know they paying players, how they doing it. They got all types of ways. So you basically, in comparison to your peers and your schoolmates, you already pro. You know what
true.
I mean? So now it's a little different. You're paying people 6-figure checks just to stay. For
Yeah,
one,
man. Hopefully, they'll give Oscar Sheway a 6-figure check, man, because we need him to come back next year, man, for real.
I
We-
mean,
We'll
yeah,
see.
they trying to hold his money against him, so he might come back. Who knows?
Yeah, man, we need him, man. But anyways, what I want to ask you, I want to talk about that Coach K's last home game, man. And I know North Carolina had got hot, but I know you wasn't expecting that, man. So tell me, how did you feel when you was watching that one?
Honestly, North Carolina has been getting weak. They get good team guys, so if you can play as a team, they can build a good team. They haven't been really getting great individual players lately. They've been getting like hard work guys that'll be there 2 and 3 years. So I never worry when we play them, even though it is a rivalry. Sometimes young kids do play down to their competition. So when I was watching that game after beating them by 18 points at their house, I expected Duke to win. I expected North Carolina to come out hard just because they got embarrassed there. But I didn't expect them to win. But the way Duke was playing, nobody could hit a shot. It was like one of those games where the lid was on the rim, and they were just letting Payal isolate just for the simple fact they had nobody to guard them. But I mean, it's very rare that you ever see somebody score over 30 points in college unless they're playing low level D1.
Yeah,
So it's not enough to beat them. These teams are averaging 70 something points. Even if he scores 35, that's not going to be enough. So that disappointed me. Also, one thing I noticed about Coach K is some of his fire is gone. So it was time for him to hang it up. And I think some of it left this year because he knows it's his last year. He wants to enjoy it more than getting his blood pressure up and, the whole Bobby Knight act.
yeah,
So when they were struggling, going in droughts, he kept running his plays, and he kind of just let them figure it out on their own, which I think in exchange it helped us for the tournament because he's not out there throwing clipboards and stuff like that. He's just letting them figure it out and calling his plays. But I
yeah.
was disappointed just because it was Coach K's last game. I feel like they should have had a more sense of urgency. But when your star players are freshmen and sophomores, sometimes game can get away from them.
Yeah, man, for sure. I know, like, you had high expectations for the team, but did you did you even like have any like inkling of an idea that you would probably be playing North Carolina again in the Final Four?
So, as you see, I went back and forth with the SEC fans. They talked crazy to me, and I said, "Well, look, the tournament's coming up. We'll see." Of course, I was right, not to pat myself on the back. But this is I've been doing. I'm not to say everybody else haven't, and I don't know everybody doesn't view the game the same way. But I've been watching college and looking at every aspect of it for almost 30 years. So the style of play the ACC has suits better for the tournament. And usually, when you got a couple of good guards, you're going to go far in the tournament. If you got at least one solid big, then you're going to be all right. So Duke's got good bigs and good guards. So I knew they would be fine. North Carolina's got Baycott, which is their version of Oscar Sheway. When they miss and they struggle in the half court, he gets a lot of offensive rebounds. So I knew they would at least make the Sweet 16. Um, Virginia Tech was a little hot to end the season, but it was Virginia Tech. I didn't know what they would do. Miami was tough. I knew they would at least win 2 games. Um, so yeah, we only got 5 teams in. I didn't expect to have 3 Elite 8 teams, but I did expect to have at least 2. I had Duke actually going to at least the Elite 8. I figured they could lose in the Elite 8 based off how they were playing when they played Virginia Tech. They kind of got hit in the mouth a little bit. Duke was struggling with perimeter defense, and they were struggling grabbing defensive rebounds. I was like, if they can fix just those 2 things, they'll be fine, and they did. So, the ACC, they said historically it was bad, but the style they have, I knew they would be all right in the tournament.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you what my problem is, right? So I get fixated on Kentucky too much. So I didn't even fill out a bracket because I sat down and thought about it and I was like, man, I really didn't keep up with the top 25. Like I feel like for me to really dig into it, I probably needed to watch every team that was, you know, pretty consistently in the top 25, probably play at least 2 or 3 games, right? And I didn't feel like I had enough time or the energy. And for whatever reason, I only made time to watch Kentucky. So I really didn't know what was going on for real outside of just seeing a few scores here and there or whatever. Um, but I had seen, Kentucky looked super good at certain times. They looked mediocre to bad at sometimes. And I know they had smacked Kansas. So did you like when you was watching Kansas, did you feel like that was a team that could make a run in the tournament?
It's always gets horses. They're always a good transition team. They always get some pretty athletic big men. So the problem that Kansas ran into to me when they play UK is UK is a transition team. I have been saying I said it in BTG, and that's my thing. If you stop transition, UK struggled in the half court. But the problem was Kansas was like, well, we got horses too. We just try to run with UK, and UK was getting stops, and y'all just blew them out. But you never know with Bill Self. He's like trying to think of who he is. I
Let's
mean,
keep it real, man. He's overrated, man. I need you to say it.
I can't say he's overrated because he's got a championship now.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about Kansas because the same thing with Roy Williams. He had a lot of great teams, and in Kansas, he just never could get it done. Went to North Carolina and he won 3 championships.
Kansas is that blue blood team that you feel like when you hear they only got 3 championships, that's kind of surprising, ain't it? Because they've had some super squads in my day, and they got a whole lot of them that they probably got more flops than any of the big ones, I would say.
Yeah,
Kentucky's creeping up on them though. Kentucky's got a nice little amount of flops over the last several years, but I feel like Kansas has been the most disappointing out of all of them lately.
yeah, I feel like if UK would have went to the Sweet 16 this year and lost, everybody would have been cool. Like I wouldn't even have had much to say. Like I said, I had Duke going to the Elite 8 and probably losing, just depending on the matchup. I thought UK, if they didn't have to play in the Sweet 16, they would go further. But I had them losing in the Sweet 16. But yeah, to lose in the first round to a team nobody even knew about, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Not when even the experts are picking you to at least go to the Final Four. So, I mean, yeah, I think Kansas. Yeah, they are overrated. I really don't pay them that much attention. The only reason why I got to watch, because I used to have a lot of free time. Now I do so much stuff. The only reason why I got to watch other teams outside of was I cut hair. So on Saturday, if I'm in the shop, I'm in there cutting hair, and got games on, so I can see them play. I can analyze and see how they play, and then that helped me out a little bit. But I mean, the way this tournament was, and the way they seeded it, almost perfectly, almost nobody really had any advantages because most of these one seeds, this is probably historically one of the weakest bracket full of one seeds.
Yeah,
You trust none of them really, and as you see, it's only one that's left is Kansas. So that helped me out. Everybody's bracket is tore up. I don't believe anybody's bracket is even close to 80% right.
definitely
So
not, man. So let's talk about Villanova for a second. So I know they suffered an injury, but talk about how you feel about the last several years, just as a program, and then talk about what you think their chances are in this Final Four.
I like Jay Wright. He's a class act. I like that no matter what happens, he doesn't change his process. He might, he gets some guys that are on the cusp of one and done, but really will probably play at least 2, maybe 3 years, and he just sticks to the script of what he does. Plus, I like the fact that Villanova is really an afterthought school. I mean, if you don't live right there in Philly, you don't even pay attention to him. But it ain't stopped him from success. So I like what he does. As far as Justin Morris getting hurt, he was their second leading scorer. Um, thing is, the reason why I'm not totally ruling Villanova out, one, I think they're well coached. So I think he can adjust to just about anything.
Do you
Two,
think he's the best coach in college currently?
man, you can't ask me that, man. My
Okay,
guy's still,
is he the second best coach in college?
yeah, Roy Williams is gone. Bill Self's a little overrated. I probably would say, yeah. I mean, you went to the Final Four. What's this, his fourth Final Four since he's been there?
Yeah, I believe so.
And that's only been 2022. He might have been there for somewhere around 10 years,
Something like that.
somewhere, somewhere around that. So, yeah, I probably would say he's the second best coach in college because a lot of the guys we thought were up and coming, once they got new jobs, we never heard about them anymore. But like I said, I think that they're well coached, so they can execute a game plan to make the game ugly, stop Kansas's transition. Also, even though they did lose their second leading scorer, they got like 5 or 6 guys that score between 8 and 16 points. So yeah, you did lose a guy that scores 14, 15 points. Then you got a guy right after him that scores 11, a guy that scores 10, 9, 8.
So
So
you feel like they can make up for it?
I'm not going to say that other guys are as talented, but I definitely can see more shots for guys that can score. You know what I mean? It ain't too many times that you get a team that's that balanced, where you got 6 guys to score between 8 and 16 every game. So I don't expect it to be an easy win for Kansas if they win. I said in the second round, I had a feeling when Kansas didn't trick in the first round, they looked like they were sharp. Then they won the second round. I had a feeling they would be in the championship, so I'm gonna stick with what I said. I didn't know they'd be playing Villanova, but I'm gonna just stick with what I said.
All right, man. So I ain't gonna hold you too much longer, man. I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. But before I do, first I need you to give me your official scores for the initial Final Four games, and then give me your championship score.
All right, so I'm gonna go Duke. This has been my number all season, and I just kind of believe in fate. I mean, everybody does dirt, everybody does wrong, but when you put the work in, I feel like God does try to bless you for being that dedicated. Like, Super Bowl in Tampa, Tom Brady goes there. He puts that work in, they won. Rams put the work in, changed the culture of being a bad team. Super Bowl in Los Angeles, they won. Coach Hayes last year, now he's in the Final Four. So I do somewhat believe in that, but you got to put that work in too. It ain't just going to happen by luck. So I'm going to go Duke. I've said all year 80 points wins it for them. Anytime Duke scores 80, I like Duke. If I bet 100 times, I don't care if they lose 10. I think Duke's gonna win 90 out of 100 if they hit 80. So I think 80 wins it, but I don't think it quite gets to 80. I think they'll play a little bit defense. So I'll go Duke 77, North Carolina. If they playing kind of good, I don't believe Caleb Love shows up like he was. 77-71. Then for the other end, I think, like I said, Jay Wright will muck it up a little bit. So I'll go. I kind of do want to take Villanova, but I'm gonna stick with what I said. I'm gonna go Kansas 65, Villanova 63.
That's what's up, man. And now give me your championship score for Coach
Go.
K's last championship.
I'm gonna go. They're gonna run. I think it'll be kind of high scoring. I will go Duke 80, Duke 83, Kansas 79.
Got you, man. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to give you a moment to talk your shit to North Carolina, because North Carolina and a lot of other fans, including some of my guys, feel like there's a Coach K conspiracy to get him a championship. So address all of the haters, man.
All right, so this is the thing. Because everybody's conspiracy theorists. So let's do it like this. Just to kill the conspiracies, because everybody says, oh, well, it's Tom Brady's last year, whatever. Everybody knew Tom Brady was probably going to retire last year. When they made that ferocious comeback on my LA Rams, if there was conspiracies, if they were true, why wouldn't they just let Tom Brady win? Now, I can get it. If you're down by 20-something points, it would be too obvious if you just call everything in somebody's favor and give them the win at that point. But if they actually get back into the game, it's not that hard to make a few calls, questionable calls, and let them win. But they didn't do it. Michael Jordan, greatest player of all time. Don't you? They only missed the playoffs his last year. Allen Iverson put him out, Philly. They only missed the playoffs by 1 or 2 games. Michael Jordan's last year, the face of the NBA since 1985. Wasn't they just gave them a few tic-tac foul calls to get them into the playoffs because they barely lost? You know what I mean? So conspiracy theories, I do think refs do make obvious bad calls, but no, like refs, I mean, I know college refs, like D1 college refs, D2 college refs. They have like this unwritten rule. If they make a call, they're going to stick with it. Because then if you always go back on the calls that you make, then people are always left to question, even though they're going to question you anyway. But you can't get into that game of what the fans think this. You know what I mean? You got to be strong in what you believe and make the right call. So, no, I mean, look, Coach K had the #1 recruiting class. Coach K is the GOAT. Coach K's record is close to 75% win percentage. Man, he just got it done. The guys finally bought in. He's not yelling at them because, honestly, I believe in this new age, you can't be Bobby Knight or Adolph Rupp. They not going to, unless you're coaching at Wichita State, somewhere where everybody's blue collar, they coming from the farm. These privileged kids their whole life been the #1 recruit. They're not buying into that. And so I think it's a sense of respect and urgency. They want to play for Coach K and be remembered as the last team to win him a championship. So ain't no conspiracy, man. They a little jealous, jealous of Duke winning the ACC, and now we're in the Final Four. They wanted us to lose. Every year, everybody wants us to lose. Any blue blood franchise besides Kansas, they don't care what their team does. But as long as Duke don't win, it gives them some gratitude. Also, I got to go on my little rant about North Carolina because I saw Donovan hating, per usual.
He called your name, too, man.
You and cheap fans, man. The only school that I know, my boy Penny, black coach, gets a job, loses players his first year. He one of his best players. This year, player gets hurt, comes back, but he gets them to the tournament. They win a tournament game. They go to the second round. They should have knocked off the 1 seed, went to overtime and lost it. But as soon as he has any success, he gets evaluated. Not only does he get evaluated, then he gets investigated, and then they get all these sanctions. UNC can give players fake classes classes you can do anything in life with, and nothing happens. So with that said, fuck you and cheat. Their logic is off. They thought that was okay. You know, UK's done some stuff, but I ain't gonna get off on UK.
Let us alone right now, man. We down, man.
Plus, you know, I got to have my last laugh, but we got a long time life rivalry, so I ain't gonna get off on UK. Plus, I kind of like Cal a little bit. But yeah, man. So you know, it's gonna hurt. UNC fans, I had one dap me up today. He said, "Good game." So I looked at him. I dapped him up because he's my partner. Well, I said, "You think you slick?" He said, "What you mean?" I said, "You trying to tell me good game so when we beat y'all, you already conceded. But if y'all win, you want to be able to talk your shit." He couldn't do nothing but laugh. And one last thing, any North Carolina fans that feel confident in their team, I'm taking all bets. Hit me up.
Mm.
My name, BTG. Holla at me, man.
There it is, man. Big Brew taking all bets, man. And like I told y'all earlier in the show, if he's successful tomorrow against North Carolina, I will wear some Duke gear on one of my shows. Cause I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be unbiased. It's hard, but I'm gonna do it for him, man. So good luck to you, big dog. I appreciate having you on the show, and we will get back at it again. Sports and Discourse with Derek Stevenson.